Hello and welcome back to Figure Barn. Now today we're diving into another lineup of pops straight from the golden reels of movie history. From the pulse-pounding quests of Indiana Jones to the quiet suspense of Rear Window, the eerie chaos of The Birds and the slick paranoia of North by Northwest, this collection is a tribute to film legends in miniature form. We'll even celebrate the 50th anniversary of Spielberg's monstrous masterpiece Jaws and the raw rebellion of James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. So whether you're a die-hard film buff, a retro thrill seeker or just here for the coolest pops around, this is your front row seat to a showcase of timeless icons, miniaturized, stylized and ready for their close-up. So grab your popcorn and let's roll camera on this latest collectible lineup. Ready to get started? Starting off today, Indiana Jones, the legendary archaeologist and adventurer, was dreamt up by George Lucas as a modern homage to the classic movie serials of the 30s and 40s. Brought to life by Harrison Ford, Indy made his debut in Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981 under the direction of Steven Spielberg. The character quickly became a pop culture icon, known for his whip, fedora, and a knack of getting into and out of dangerous situations in pursuit of ancient artefacts. Over the decades, Indiana Jones has starred in a series of globe-trotting adventures that blend history, myth, and action. His cinematic journey spans from battling Nazis in search of the Ark of the Covenant, to uncovering mystical stones in India, racing against time to find the Holy Grail, confronting Cold War-era Soviets over ancient relics, and finally facing the mysteries of time itself in his last outing. The franchise also expanded into a television series, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, as well as novels, comics, and video games, all cementing Indy's legacy as one of cinema's most enduring heroes. So all in all, Funko have released 18 pops relating to the 5 Indiana Jones movies, with all by one coming in a large wave throughout 2023. So in my collection so far, we've managed to pick up 10, and we have another 2 of the classic ones here from the Temple of Doom, which in my opinion is the best movie of the series. Now if you don't agree, feel free to let me know in the comments which your favourite Indiana Jones film is though. And starting off, we have our whip-cracking hero Indiana Jones himself with his sword. Now this is from a scene where Indy finds himself cornered on a rope bridge high above a crocodile-filled river. With the enemies closing in on both sides, he grabs his machete and warns his friends to hold on to the sides. He slashes the ropes, sending the bridge crashing into the hillside as the cultists fall to their doom. Indy, Willie and Short Round cling to the remains suspended in midair, and it's a daring escape that captures everything iconic about Indiana Jones. The courage, the chaos, and the touch of reckless genius. So this figure here is a Hot Topic exclusive, as you can see by the sticker down here. And it's Indy as his most recognisable generally, with his brown fedora, his iconic whip in his left hand, and in his right he's got the machete there, just ready to cut down the bridge. There's actually some quite fine detail in here as well, with the reddening on his cheek, under his eye, and the small cut on his chin there. And he also has his brown satchel across his body there, ready to retrieve another one of the Sankara stones. Now looking at the back of the box, you can see the other commons in the set here, and the only one that we're missing is the first Indiana Jones here on the top left. And the second one that we have from the Temple of Doom is Indy's sidekick, Short Round. Short Round, played by Ke Huy Quan, is a Chinese orphan from Shanghai who meets Indy after trying to pick his pocket, only to be taken under his wing. Now despite his young age, Short Round proves to be brave, resourceful and surprisingly skilled behind the wheel. He brings the heart and humour to the film, often grounding Indy with his sharp instincts and unwavering courage. Now whether he's cracking jokes or saving the day, Short Round is more than just the comic relief. He's a vital part of the adventure and a fan favourite from the franchise. So this is another exclusive and came out as part of the 2023 Summer Convention, as the sticker shows here, and he's in his signature outfit here as well, complete with the white and blue pinstripe baseball hat there, with his hair just poking out from the front and the sides. He's also sporting the open beige shirt with the toggle style buttons running all the way down, and he's got his white vest on underneath. In this pop he's also shown wearing fairly light coloured trainers here, although looking at other collectibles and figures, some seem to think that the shoes are a much darker brown, but it's hardly that important really. Now as well as starring in the Temple of Doom, Ke Huy Quan was also Data in the Goonies, before the acting roles slowly dried up on him. He stepped away for almost 2 decades working behind the scenes as a stunt coordinator and assistant director, before making a triumphant return in Everything Everywhere All at Once in 2022, winning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Jaws, released on June the 20th, 1975, was Steven Spielberg's breakout hit and the film that invented the modern summer blockbuster. Based on Peter Benchley's novel, it tells the story of a seaside town terrorised by a great white shark and the trio of Chief Brody, marine biologist Matt Hooper and shark hunter Quint, who set out to stop it. With its suspenseful pacing, iconic score by John Williams, and groundbreaking marketing, Jaws changed Hollywood forever. Now, 50 years later, the film is being celebrated with theatrical re-releases, special vinyl editions of the soundtrack, and a new wave of figures as well, including the two that we've got coming up. It remains a cultural touchstone, still thrilling audiences and keeping swimmers just that little bit wary of the water. Now, back in 2019 was when we saw the first wave of Jaws Pops released, and that included Brody, Hooper, and Quint, which are all in the collection. Plus there were 3 separate variants of Jaws the Shark. Now we also had a larger pop of the shark eating Quint's boat come out in 2021, and although I don't get many of the larger pops, that one is definitely one on the list to try and get at some point. This year though, we had another 3 released in line with the 50th anniversary. One was another variant of the shark that we don't have yet, but the first one that we're going to show is Quint here holding up a shark jaw. Now Quint, portrayed by Robert Shaw, is a hardened shark hunter with a deep grudge against the creatures. Gruff and fearless, he offers to kill the great white terrorising Amity Island for a fairly steep price. His hatred stems from surviving the USS Indianapolis disaster, where sharks killed many of his fellow sailors. That trauma sort of fuels his obsession, making him both a heroic and tragically doomed figure. So Quint here, as you can see, is holding the jawbones for a shark, which are probably the ones that he's boiling the fat off in his shed as he makes the initial deal to capture the shark with Brody. He's wearing the blue apron that he has on from that scene, over the top of his grey fishing jumper and the similarly grey trousers that you can see there. Now naturally he has his unmistakable moustache and the large sideburns to go with it, which are all topped off with a fisherman's cap. Now there's actually some quite nice detailing on that, with the stitched panels, and also that the bent peak there isn't quite central, which is exactly how it was in the movie. Now another nice touch on these boxes is that if we turn them to the side, you can see that the shark has also managed to take a hefty chunk out of the side as well. And after our shark hunter, we have our marine biologist, Matt Hooper. Now Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss, is a smart and passionate marine biologist from the Oceanographic Institute. Backed by personal wealth and scientific know-how, he arrives in Amity to help track the great white shark. Cooper's curiosity, confidence and cutting-edge gear contrast sharply with Quint's old-school grit. Though he starts off as an outsider, he quickly proves his courage and becomes a key part of the trio that takes the fight to the sea. Now Hooper's scuba gear that he's seen wearing here is from when he dives into the wreck of Ben Gardner's boat, and later when he descends in the shark cage. Now it's from the shark cage scene that this pop is modelled around, and as you can see he's also holding the harpoon that he ultimately loses when fending off the shark. He's wearing the full 70s wetsuit in black with the blue arms, and the metal buckles at the bottom there just holding on his weight belt. And there's also 2 buckles over his shoulders, which if we turn the box slightly, you can just about see the twin steel air tanks on his back as well. Now on the face, as well as the blonde coloured beard and the hair, he's wearing his distinctive almost hexagonal glasses there without the rims, so it's clearly before he gets in the water and swaps them out for his goggles and his respirator. Now before casting Dreyfuss as Hooper, Spielberg considered several other actors, including John Voight, Timothy Bottoms and Jeff Bridges. When scheduling conflicts ruled them out, it was actually George Lucas, who's Spielberg's friend and collaborator, who recommended Dreyfuss, having previously directed him in American Graffiti. Now, from the crashing waves and relentless dread of Jaws, we shift gears, stepping out of the ocean's grip and into the restless heartbeat of 1950s suburbia. Gone are the great white's teeth, in their place a red jacket, a fast car and a youth on the edge. Welcome to Rebel Without a Cause, where fear isn't in the water, but in what it means to grow up misunderstood. Now, Rebel Without a Cause, which was released in 1955 and directed by Nicholas Ray, is a landmark film that captured the angst and alienation of post-war American youth. Starring James Dean in one of his most iconic roles as Jim Stark, the film follows a troubled teenager struggling to find identity, connection and meaning in a world of disillusioned parents and social expectations. Alongside Natalie Wood and Sol Mineo, Dean's performance helped redefine the teen drama on screen. Now released just weeks after Dean's tragic death, the film became a cultural touchstone, and its themes of rebellion, generational conflict and emotional vulnerability still resonate today. And here we have the troubled yet sensitive teenager, Jim Stark. So the pose of this pop is based on the original theatrical release poster, where he's leaning against a wall, cigarette in hand, with his legs crossed a little bit and almost pointing with his other hand on his hip. Now we've lost the cigarette from the pop, obviously, but the rest of the pose is well presented here, and he has the deep troubled brow just below the 50s style swept back hair. Over the plain white tee, you can see he's got his very iconic red jacket with the blue jeans with the big turn-ups, down to the workman-like black boots. Now James Dean only starred in 3 major films: East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause and Giant, before tragically dying in a car crash on September the 30th, 1955 at just 24 years old. All 3 performances earned critical acclaim, with 2 posthumous Oscar nominations. From the raw emotion and youthful turmoil of Rebel Without a Cause, we pivot to a different kind of tension, one crafted with shadows, silence and a master's touch. Enter Alfred Hitchcock, the cinematic architect of suspense, where danger doesn't shout, it whispers just out of frame. Now Alfred Hitchcock, born in London in 1899, became one of cinema's most influential directors, earning the title the Master of Suspense. He began his career in silent films in the 1920s, directing The Lodger in 1927, which helped define the thriller genre. After moving to Hollywood in 1939, he crafted a string of iconic films including Rear Window, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho and The Birds, each known for their psychological tension, innovative camera work and dark humour. Now to celebrate his movies, Funko have released 3 covering some of his most iconic characters, and we have them all here today. Starting off with Roger Thornhill from North by Northwest. Now Roger Thornhill, played by Cary Grant in North by Northwest in 1959, is a suave, sharp-tongued advertising executive who's mistaken for a government agent and thrust into a deadly game of espionage. Framed for murder and pursued across the country, Thornhill transforms from a self-assured everyman into a reluctant hero. Alfred Hitchcock's thriller blends suspense, romance and wit with iconic set pieces like the crop duster chase and the Mount Rushmore climax. Thornhill's charm, vulnerability and resilience make him one of Hitchcock's most memorable protagonists, a man caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, yet rising to meet the danger head on. And this pop is from one of those iconic set pieces where Thornhill is running from the crop duster. It's well posed in this running stance in his dark grey suit and the black tie just sort of swinging over his shoulder there as well. He's got his slick back black hair and the determined look in his eyes, and even if you can see the dust on his shirt as well from the ground that he dives on when he's trying to avoid the plane coming down, trying to both shoot him and cover him in the crop spray. Now Cary Grant was baffled by the North by Northwest script and told Hitchcock, "It's a terrible script, I can't make head nor tail of it." Hitchcock though embraced the confusion, knowing it mirrored Grant's character. Now Grant also expected it to be a massive flop until the film's triumphant premiere, culminating with 3 Academy Award nominations. And next we have Jeff Jeffries from Rear Window. Now LB Jeff Jeffries, played by James Stewart in 1954, is a globe-trotting photojournalist, sidelined by a broken leg. Confined to his Greenwich Village apartment, he passes the time by spying on his neighbours through his rear window, using his camera lens like a telescope. Now what begins as idle curiosity turns into obsession when he suspects a neighbour of murder. Jeff's physical immobility contrasts with his sharp observational skills, and his ethical dilemma, watching others without their knowledge, drives the film's tension. As danger closes in, Jeff evolves from passive voyeur to active participant, uncovering both the crime and his own vulnerabilities. So this is a great pop, which I'm sort of surprised that Funko didn't try and market as a pop plus. Now Jeff here is in his wheelchair with his broken leg just sort of propped up on that black footplate and fully casted as well. You can even see that he's signed the cast there on the side with his initials, which is a nice little touch. He's holding his camera with a large telephoto lens, ready to pry into others' lives, while he's also wearing his pale navy blue pyjamas as well as he's confined to his room. Now as a parody to Rear Window in The Simpsons episode Bart of Darkness, Bart breaks his leg and becomes confined to his room during a summer heatwave. Bored and isolated, he spies on his neighbours with a telescope and suspects Ned Flanders has murdered Maud. Now the episode blends suspense and satire as Bart's imagination spirals. It's a clever homage that turns suburban boredom into a full-blown mystery. And finally, to wrap up our showcase today, we have another great Hitchcock pop with Melanie Daniels here from The Birds. Now, Melanie Daniels, played by Tippi Hedren in The Birds from 1963, begins as a glamorous, mischievous San Francisco socialite who impulsively follows lawyer Mitch Brenner to Bodega Bay. Initially confident and flirtatious, Melanie's playful pursuit turns serious when the town is besieged by unexplained bird attacks. As the chaos unfolds, her polished exterior crumbles, revealing her vulnerability and resilience. Hitchcock uses Melanie's journey from a carefree prankster to a traumatised survivor to explore the themes of control, freedom and fear. Her transformation mirrors the film's shift from romantic intrigue to psychological horror, making her one of Hitchcock's most complex and haunting female leads. So it's another great pop here, showing Melanie as she is mid-bird attack. Now, in one of her most iconic looks, she's here in the pale green wool-sheathed dress and the matching jacket, which was chosen specifically to make Melanie stand out against the more muted tones of Bodega Bay. Now, she's in this kind of running pose, trying to escape the birds, and there's actually two of them, if you can just see, sculpted and flying around the top of her head, just at the top of the box. Now, as well as the impeccably styled blonde hair wrapping around her face, you can just see the two spots of blood as well where the birds have actually pecked as she's tried to shield herself. And that's a wrap on another cinematic pop adventure, where fedoras meet feathers, sharks meet suspense, and rebellion meets red jackets. From Indiana Jones's daring escapes to Jaws' toothy terror, from Hitchcock's voyeuristic thrills in Rear Window and The Birds, to the mistaken identity chase of North by Northwest, and finally the brooding cool of Rebel Without a Cause, these Funkos don't just sit on the shelf, they tell their own stories. As always, if you've enjoyed this trip through movie history in vinyl form, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss any Funko hunts, reviews or movie showcases. Drop a note of your favourite figure in the comments, or any other movies that you wish Funko would make pops of that you can add to your collection. But until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, there's always another story to tell. We'll catch you in the next one.